Hi, today I'm doing my wrap up of what I read in March. My ratings were all over the board this month. I had some 2-star, I had some 2 stars and I had some 5 stars, both of which are kind of rare for me. And there's Cat. So it was an interesting month. A surprise, to be sure.
But a welcome one.
So I'm just going to get into what I read. Okay, first up is The Magician's Nephew by Hello. You can't get around it? Do you need me to move it? There, is that better? He's here now. Hello. You just gonna help me? So first up is The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. Now I'm gonna have to put up the cover around you. Do you understand that? So this is the first book chronologically in the Chronicles of Narnia series. Although release date wise, I think it's towards the tail end of C.S. Lewis writing Chronicles of Narnia. So technically it's the prequel to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I read last December. So I was like, I'm just going to read The Magician's Nephew next. I don't know. I just made the executive decision. The Magician's Nephew is about the old professor that the Pevensey children go to live with in the events of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He's the main character of this book. And his uncle is a magician, hence the title. And the uncle sends him portal hopping to a different world. In their adventure, they end up meeting the White Witch, and we also see the creation of Narnia. The best way I could describe it is a precursor to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I rated this one 2 stars. This was a 2-star read for me. I did read this as a child. I only read this book and The Horse and His Boy in the Chronicles of Narnia. Every other book besides The Last Battle, I had watched the BBC production of when I was younger. So I have experienced almost the entire story of Chronicles of Narnia, except for The Last Battle. I never finished it, I guess. So I did read this book as a kid and I remember really liking it. I think I thought it was sort of creepy in a fun way. And I don't know, I guess I must have thought it was more exciting because honestly, I do not feel the same way about it today. I thought it was honestly pretty boring. There was not a lot of excitement. It was just not really a fun time to me. Like I said, I did read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe last December, and I actually really enjoyed that one. I thought it was a pretty fun book. It was cute. It was quick. It was just a good one. So I kind of thought this was going to be the same vibe. I thought there would at least be the same quality of engagement throughout the book. But no, that was not my experience at all. Again, it was just boring. The biggest turnoff to me was the heavy Christian imagery in this book. Yeah, it's duh, obviously. That's what Narnia is. You didn't know that. But I noticed it in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It was very apparent. But I think the story going on behind the imagery was interesting enough that I didn't really care. But in this one, it was too much. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a personal preference. I don't like it when it's that overt. I do think on a positive note, there were kind of some cool ideas here that I think could have been done without the Christian imagery. I liked the world hopping. I liked the creation of a new world. I thought that was kind of interesting. I liked that it was directly setting up elements for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It was interesting how you could see things that were going to be important in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and how they were introduced in The Magician's Nephew. But again, the execution of it all was just so dry that it wasn't fun. And I did not have a good time with this book. So this book kind of solidifies that I'm probably not going to be continuing on with Chronicles of Narnia. Again, with the Christian imagery, it's too much for me to get past. And obviously I can't count on the rest of the series being as good as The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So I think I'm just going to cut my losses and stop here. So yeah, not a great start. Let's talk about the next book, Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett. This one, unfortunately, was also a 2-star read for me. So this is the second book in the Founders trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett. This one follows Foundryside, which is the first book. So in this one, the main character, Sanchia, and her crew try to make a revolution happen against these powerful families that run the city, but everything is thrown way out of whack when this godlike being is awakened, and he just kind of causes havoc everywhere and attempts to fulfill his own sinister goals. So this is kind of funny because like I feel like it's such a random book for me to have so many thoughts about, but I do have so much to say about it. So I'm gonna keep this kind of brief because I think I'm gonna make a separate video on Shorefall. So I just want to say that to me, this was a huge step down from Foundry Side. I don't know what happened, but I did not like this one at all. Like, I rated Foundry Side 4 stars and this one 2. What I liked about this was that there were 2 sequences in this book that I thought were pretty good and well executed. And I think there was some good potential. Again, just like with The Magician's Nephew, there's like some elements here that I think are really cool and I wish they had been done better. So I still really like what the story is about. I just don't like the execution so much. I've said it before and I will say it again. I like magical gods or godlike beings being introduced in a story. It's a trope I enjoy. It always just makes the story to me and the world feel larger than life. Here though, it was really lackluster. Yes, there was a godlike figure present here, like I said in the summary, but he was just really disappointing and not like scary or intimidating at all, which he should be. So that just made for me all the tension and buildup destroyed. The excessive villain monologuing did not help either. It made him seem more like comical than cool. Everything I complained about in the first book was present here. And I don't know if it's just because I liked the plot better in the first book to distract me from all that, or if the bad things here just got so much worse. But something happened. There's something between the first and second book where I just couldn't take it anymore. The dialogue, the cringy swearing, the painstaking explanation of the magic system, it's all there. So yeah, more to come on this one, but overall, it was just a huge disappointment to me. And this is going to be yet another series that I'm dropping. I'm not going to continue on and read the third and final book in the Founders trilogy. Like I could, it's just one more book, but I can't take it again. I can't take one more book of this. So yeah. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about Wundersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. We're going to take a hard left here because this is a book that I rated 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. So this is the second book in the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. This is about a girl, Morrigan, who gets whisked away to the secondary world of Nevermore on her 12th birthday. So in this book, Morrigan faces hardships from her peers, bullying, ostracizing, and on top of that, a familiar but very unwelcome face from her past pops up to terrorize Morrigan. So, like I said, this book was so good. I really, really liked it. It was a great follow-up to the first book, in my opinion, and honestly, I don't really have any criticisms. I love Morrigan as a protagonist. She is such an angel. If there was ever a child protagonist I have sympathized with more, I can't think of them. There's a theme throughout this book of Morrigan being punished just because of what she is. Everyone wanted to tear her down, and she couldn't even defend herself because of everyone's preconceived notions towards her. So to me, it was just a really poignant and very like interesting, relevant type of theme, type of message. Thankfully, it was all resolved quite nicely too. So it was a happy ending for Morrigan. She doesn't have to suffer forever. I also think this is kind of a dark book as far as middle grade goes. There was some plot lines here that I was like, oh, wow, they're really doing this. Oh, okay. But, you know, I loved it so much, and I can't wait to read the next one. Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, author redacted. This one, there's an air of mystery surrounding it within my description, within the chapter, within the timestamp. The reason for that is because I don't support anything J.K. Rowling does. I don't like her. So Harry Potter as a series still very much has value to me. It was like a huge part of my friend group growing up. Like, we all loved Harry Potter. I was in Quidditch club in high school. You know, Harry Potter, it was a huge part of my life and it means so much to me. So I really wanted to do a reread of the series because, like, I just miss it. Okay, but at the same time, I understand that it's kind of a pain point for a lot of people. So I want to be sensitive of that. As I said, not everyone wants to hear about it. I put chapters in my videos, so feel more than free to skip past this if you want. All good. Now then, let me talk about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I rated this book 5 stars. I thought it was so good. If you've lived under a rock and haven't read Harry Potter ever, this book is about Harry returning to Hogwarts for his second year, and he finds out about a secret chamber hidden somewhere in the castle. Hence the title. The chamber is opened again, and the students and teachers of the school find some pretty destructive things. So yeah, I really liked this one. Honestly, I think it's even better than I remember as a kid. And I remember even liking this one a lot. This is like kind of the opposite of The Magician's Nephew, where that one I liked as a kid, I didn't love as much now. And Chamber of Secrets, I loved as a kid, and I like it even more now. It's just wild how that happens. I feel like in the span of the 7 Harry Potter books, this one kind of gets put far down on a lot of people's rankings. And I've never understood that, to be quite honest with you, because I've always thought this one was like so well done. I think it's so exciting. I think there's so much conflict and tension. There's so much mystery. There's so many twists and turns. Like, I think it's great. I think there's a really good expansion of the world and the lore in this one. We learn more about Voldemort. We learn about some more things that were kind of just hinted at in the first book. Like, for example, Hagrid's expulsion from Hogwarts way back when. There's also some darker elements that are introduced in this book to kind of add another layer to the world, such as blood supremacy, you know, wizard racism, and house elf slaves. It's just, like I said, it's just another whole layer that's added here. There are also so many twists and turns in this book, so many reveals, just so much happens here. I remember as a kid being like absolutely mind blown at some of the things that happen in this book. I don't want to say anything just in case there's someone out there that hasn't read Harry Potter, but like, there's so many reveals here that just like floored me as a kid. I already knew every single reveal that was coming, but like having them happen in real time in the text was like, it was exciting. I still really loved all the twists, even though I knew they were all coming. The climax of this book was also done so well. It was really good build up to it. And then the execution was great as well. There's also, like I said before, there's so much freaking conflict in this book. Oh my gosh, there's so much that happens. I was so engrossed in what was happening in the beginning, because like there's all this crazy stuff that happens in the beginning. I was so like involved in it that I forgot that this was even about the Chamber of Secrets until something happens later on that like, you know, hints at it. I was so distracted from the point of the book that I was like, oh yeah, the chamber, when it finally came time for us to learn about it. Honestly, I loved it. Also, I just have to talk about Gilderoy Lockhart, because like, what a character. I love him so much. What a treasure. He was so freaking annoying, like the worst person, but in such a fun way. He was so hateable, but in a good way. Like, I don't know, I just loved him. And the ending for his whole arc in the book, so perfect. So yeah, I had a really great time reading this book. Okay, next I'm going to talk about All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This book I rated 4 stars, and this is the first book. It's actually more of a novella in the Murderbot Diaries series. It's about a security android who has overridden its central commands and is now self-aware, and it refers to itself as Murderbot, which is just lovely. The name is more of like a punishing one, though, than a congratulatory one. Like, Murderbot does not like its name. It does not like its nature, but that's the name it's given itself. So Murderbot gets sent with a survey team to explore and survey a new planet. Because of the dangers the team finds themselves facing on this planet, Murderbot is forced to work with its human wards so everyone can escape safely. So I was kind of waffling between 3 or 4 stars for this one. I didn't know exactly what I was going to give it, but I went with 4 because I just really loved Murderbot as a character. The plot was fine, but I didn't really care about it much. I wasn't like super captured by it. So I'm mostly in it just for Murderbot. There was at least a little bit of mystery in the plot to keep me engaged. Like, I'm someone who loves a mystery plot. You know, I think probably most people do, but it's always just like a good device to make a plot interesting. So I'm glad that was here at least. But other than that, I wasn't really feeling it. Murderbot, though, is very endearing and honestly so relatable. I like the character and I'm excited to learn more about it and explore its psyche and growth as the series progresses. So the character of Murderbot is what is anchoring me to this series, which I think is probably what the author was intending. It's about Murderbot. It better damn well be a good character. And luckily, to me, it is. I really like the character voice that Martha Wells gave to Murderbot, and its inner thoughts were pretty entertaining, especially the social awkwardness. It's funny that a bot would even have social anxieties, but like, damn if that's not relatable. Also, so Murderbot, like, in its downtime, it watches these shows. It calls them serials. So it watches these serial shows that it downloaded, and it would keep just like relating things that were happening with the humans to like what it saw on its shows. Like, if this were one of my shows, I forget what it was even called, like August Moon or something. Like, if this were August Moon, they'd be doing this, or this isn't what happens on August Moon. Or even like, if there was a time when it was interacting with the humans, it's like, I could be watching August Moon. Murderbot, same. I feel you. I also liked the ending and how it promised more to come. But at the same time, it was a good wrap up for the story. Like, the emotional kind of arc of Murderbot in this one novella wrapped up well. So if you wanted to just stop here, like, I don't think there's a problem with that, you know? The only negative I have was that it was a little hard for me to get acclimated with the kind of like science-y and techie terms that were used in the book. This was the first sci-fi that I had read in a long time. So I fully acknowledge that like I'm probably just not used to that sort of speak. Like, I've been reading pretty high fantasies, medieval style high fantasies up to this point. So like it was just a huge culture shift almost going from that to this. So like that, I fully acknowledge, you know, that could just be my own problem, but it just kept taking me out at times because like I was like, wait, what are they talking about? But obviously it got better as the book went on, but it was still like a little bit of a pain point for me. But overall, this was very fun and nicely short. I loved it. Now, the sixth and final book before I get to my short little manga section is The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. This one I also rated 5 stars. This book was so good. So let me just do a quick summary. It's about a girl named Rami who is only 16 or 17 or something like that. She's a teenager. She's the sole surviving member of a spaceship that is traveling through deep space with the intention of reaching a new habitable planet and also establishing a new home for humanity on this planet. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say too much because I feel like more could give away some of the plot and what makes it good and exciting. I would recommend going into this not even reading like the back cover blurb or like the little blurb on Goodreads or anything like that. I didn't read the plot blurb before I started the book, and I'm glad because it kind of gives away a little too much. It like takes away some of the excitement a little bit. I had seen someone talk about this in another video and they also said to not read the blurb. Just know that it's very exciting. It keeps you on your toes. There's a lot of tension. It will give you a pit in your stomach at times. And it's a really realistic look at what a 16-year or whatever year old girl would look like put in this situation. So if that sounds like something you think you would at all like, I would recommend picking up this book. Don't look at the blurb. Just strap in for the ride. Information was revealed bit by bit, and it always kept me guessing. There are things going on in the present, like in the present narrative of the story, that are really exciting, but we also learn more about Rami's past. And that's also a whole thing and really good. It's all just executed in such a good way. The author did such a good job of getting me to sympathize with Rami as a main character who does have a lot of trauma. I mean, like, just think about it. You're a teenager and you're alone for like decades of your life. I think it's not projected that this ship is going to reach the new planet until she's like in her 20s. Like, that's so long to be alone. She's 16 or whatever. She's a freaking teenager. So I don't know her age. But anyways, like, imagine if you were in isolation for that long. And then also, you find this out at the like very beginning of the book. So this is not a spoiler. Correspondence between her ship and Earth takes like almost 2 years. So someone from Earth will send her a message and she won't get it until like 2 years later. So she doesn't even have like that contact with anyone, that like instant contact with anyone. So it makes for a very interesting situation. But like I said, I think the author wrote Rami in such a realistic way that I could totally see teenage me in her shoes at some point. So like, I loved that about it. And I'm just gonna stop there for fear of me giving away too much. But I strongly recommend this book. That's the end of the book wrap up. Okay, now I'm just gonna quickly talk about the manga that I read this last month. So it's just Bleach, again, just like last month. So this month I read volumes 10 through 16. So I read 7 volumes. And I'm going to keep this section brief also because I do want to make a separate video about Bleach. So I'm not going to speak too much about it. But I'm still liking it so much. I think I'm even liking it more now than before this point. I'm loving the way the Soul Society arc is progressing. It's so fun. It's getting really dramatic. There's lots of battles. So many fights. There has been so many new characters introduced in the Soul Society, and each edition so far has been good. I've liked everyone that we've met, like every single person, even if I like hate them and they frighten me. It's like in a fun way, you know? I don't remember all their names. Like I'm really bad with all the characters' names, but the mangaka did such a good job of making each character's design very distinct. So it's really easy for me to tell them apart on the page. Just not when I see their names. I also really like that we're starting to get elements of a mystery now. Like who's behind some of the bad things that are happening in the Soul Society. Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know yet, but I'm interested to learn. There's some characters that really frighten me, like Gin. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll put up a picture of him. You'll know. And also Byakuya. I don't know how to pronounce him either. You know, this guy. Yeah, they frighten me, both in different ways. Well, no, kind of the same way, but you know, strong feelings either way. I'm scared. But yeah, I'm really liking Bleach. Like I said, I'm probably going to do a separate video, but it's going really well. Okay, that's the end of the wrap up. That's everything I read this past month. If you read anything you really liked in the past month, let me know, because I want more good things to read. So until next time, just have like a really good day. Farewell.